day, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live classical music channel. I'm Anna Spinskaya and I'll be co-host today. We are an independent internet TV broadcaster. We bring to you live performances and music news from around the globe. Today's presentation is the Contemporary Quartet Project. It's a joint production of Virtual Concert Halls and Vox Novus. The purpose of this production is to bring the most brilliant of living nowadays composers to the attention of a wide audience and to give you all an opportunity to hear the new quartet music. You will hear live performances of new quartets by RUSQUARTET, and it's an established chamber ensemble from Moscow, and they'll be joining us from the studio of Moscow Conservatory. You will meet the composers whose pieces are presented today. You will hear about how those pieces came to be from the authors themselves. You'll be able to post your questions and have them answered by the composers and the members of RUSQUARTET. We would like to encourage everyone, please hit that chat button. Please give us your comments. Please make yourself present and visible to us. The entire program is streaming live directly from Moscow. And we would like to thank Virtual Concert Hall's production team, engineers, and show directors for their real-time work bringing this presentation to you. Today is the first concert of the two. So today's presentation is a RUSQUARTET performance, and tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please join us again for a presentation of the second half of this small festival. And this will be a performance by Argus Quartet, who will be streaming live from New York. And now I would like to introduce Robert Vuisi, who is the director of Vox Novus. Robert, it's a great pleasure to have you with us, and bravo for putting this program together. It's fabulous.
Oh, thank you, Anna. It's great to be here. Hello, I'm Robert Vuisi. I'm a composer and producer of Vox Novus. Vox Novus is a new music production and promotion company. We have created and presented several new projects which have featured and premiered the works of thousands of composers around the world. A few of the notable projects that we do are things like 15 Minutes of Fame, Composer's Voice, Circuit Bridges, and 60 by 60 Dance. This new endeavor we're doing, Contemporary Quartets, is empowering composers to produce their works with accomplished string quartets. The project creates recordings for the composers to use for their careers. But more importantly, Contemporary Quartets connects composers, musicians, and audiences from around the globe. Today's performance is featuring RUSQUARTET. RUSQUARTET was founded in 2001 at the Academy College of Music at the Moscow Tchaikovsky Conservatory under the tutelage of Galina Soboleva, a great cellist of the Prokofiev String Quartet. Members of the RUSQUARTET are DMA graduates of the Moscow State Tchaikovsky Conservatory, where they have been students of Professor Dmitry Shebalin of the Borodin String Quartet.
Thank you, Rob, very much for this great introduction. And I'm going to step in and say a few words about RUSQUARTET in Russian for our Russian-speaking audience. RUSQUARTET был основан в 2001 году академическим колледжем, музыкальным колледжем Московской государственной консерватории. RUSQUARTET занимался под руководством Галины Соболевой, который является замечательным виолончелистом, членом Прокофьевского струнного квартета. Участники и музыканты RUSQUARTETA все являются выпускниками Московской государственной консерватории и занимались в консерватории под руководством профессора Дмитрия Шебалина, который, в свою очередь, является участником Бородинского струнного квартета. Я хочу назвать имена участников, музыкантов RUSQUARTET. Скрипачи Ксения Гамарис и Анна Янчишина, альтист Ксения Жулева и виолончелист Питер Каретников. Спасибо.
Yeah, so this is our first performance streaming from Moscow. We'll be alternating between English and Russian in a true spirit of collaboration and connection. We'll be presenting the works of three composers today, from Annette Kruisbrink, Leonardo Le San, and Gregory Pfeiffer. Our first work that we'll be presenting is String Quartet number 1 in memoriam of Domenico Scarlotti by Annette Kruisbrink. She is a Dutch guitarist and composer. Annette Kruisbrink has composed over 400 works, primarily for guitar and guitar with other instruments. From 2000 to 2010, she taught at the Contemporary Music at Ethnomusic at the Conservatory of Music in Zwolle. And she is the director of the Anito Guitar School in Emmeloord, where she also teaches guitar.
Okay, just give me a little moment. Первое произведение, которое будет представлено сегодня, струнный квартет номер 1, написанный в память Доменико Скарлатти, композитор Аннетта Круисбринк. Аннетта Круисбринк является гитаристом-композитором, и в ее репертуаре более 400 произведений, которые были написаны в течение ее жизни. В основном для гитары и для гитары в составе других инструментальных ансамблей. В течение 2000 по 2010 год она преподавала современную музыку и этническую музыку в консерватории в Зволе. Анна Круисбринк является директором школы Анида гитары в Эммелоорд, где она также преподает гитару. Back to you, Rob.
Yeah, let's bring on Annette.
Okay, hello Annette. Great pleasure to have you with us.
Hello, Robert. I'm happy to be in your show. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Annette, why don't you tell us a little bit about your piece?
Yes, I'd love to. As Anna already told, it's in memoriam to Domenico Scarlatti. And actually it was commissioned by a good friend of mine who adores the sonatas by Domenico Scarlatti. So my first idea was to incorporate elements of Scarlatti in my composition. And actually it is filled with this idea. The first movement consists entirely of the trills from the sonatas, the 545 sonatas by Scarlatti. Not all, of course. I took the previews, I show you, from the Tavola Tematica as categorized by Mr. Alessandro Longo. So I only took from the first measures of everything. I took all the trills and put them in the first movement. The pitches are remained intact, but only the note durations are changed according to my own taste. The second movement, I forgot to tell you that the first movement is called Trill Longo, from the trills and from this Mr. Longo. Then the second movement I composed after reading the biography of Scarlatti and his family. And especially I was touched by the situation of Scarlatti's mother. She stayed home when Scarlatti and Domenico and his father Alessandro were touring around through Europe for months. Scarlatti's mother was left alone in her house. So I created a kind of abandoned, sad, still, alone, lonely atmosphere in this movement. And the title of this movement is Amanzalone, meaning AM are the initials from Antonia Maria, and her maiden name is Anzalone. So Amanzalone, and note that the last part of this Anzalone is alone. then the third movement, I connected a chromatic scale to the alphabet. So instead of playing notes, you can play also names connected to the certain notes. And in the third movement, you hear the tema, Scarlotti, and Domenico and Alessandro. These three words are the theme, and you hear them returning all the time in the piece. And furthermore, I also wrote their names in Morse code. Morse is a code for telegraphy used in the former century and invented by Samuel Morse. And to explain, the most known Morse code is SOS, dot, 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 line, 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 dot, dot, dot. You will hear this in my music, but you will also hear in the middle section the names Alessandro, Domenico, and Scarlotti, all in Morse code. This is about what my piece is, and I hope you enjoy listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you,
Can't
Annette.
wait to hear it. It's going to be awesome.
That is such an interesting explanation, and thank you so much for giving us this little bit of overview how it was composed, because it gives so much more understanding as we're preparing to hear the piece. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great. So let's hear it and bring on RUSQUARTET.
И сейчас мы приглашаем RUSQUARTET на сцену, который будет выступать и играть струнный квартет номер 1 имени Доменико Скарлатти, в память Доменико Скарлатти, Аннетты Круисбринк. wonderful. What a marvelous performance. Квартет выступает из Москвы. Как мы все знаем, интернет не везде очень надежен. Мы просим квартет, пожалуйста, посмотреть в нашем private chat. Инструкцию мы попытаемся исправить. У вас камера там выключалась несколько раз. Поэтому подойдите, пожалуйста, если вы меня слышите, подойдите, пожалуйста, к компьютеру, чтобы вы могли посмотреть в чате. Мы вам напишем короткую инструкцию. Rob, to you.
Yes. So our second work that we're going to be performing in a few minutes is Microbiome for String Quartet, Volume 2 by Leonardo Le San. Composer Leonardo Le San has a distinguished career of premieres at Carnegie Hall, Merkin Hall, the Palace of Eber in Vienna, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and the Harvard Musical Association, just to name a few. Also, he's had a notable appearance as both a composer and a pianist at the White House. Leonardo has been featured on RCN and International Classical TV through Eurochannel and Allegro HD, reaching the network's 2 million viewers. Let's put on Leo. Where are you, my friend? Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good. Why don't we start by, you telling us a little bit about your piece that you wrote for us?
Oh, yes, thank you for having me. A wonderful program, and congrats to all the other composers that are being programmed. And yes, and it's been a joy to work with the RUSQUARTET in Moscow, and they're wonderful. So thank you for doing all of this. The work began during the shutdown in 2020. When obviously we were not allowed to do much, and I found myself experiencing silence in a very fast-moving, fragmented world that we live in, bombarded with a million images and digital advertisements and stuff. I found that as a great opportunity in the midst of a global crisis and such a difficult circumstances that my colleagues in the music business, theaters, I mean, you name it, orchestras, schools, companies, small businesses, everybody was suffering. Yet I found this opportunity to compose again a lot. And the first idea came as an orchestral work. It was Microbiome Volume 1. And it all started with just this concept of who's really running the world. We see superstars, movie stars. We see famous athletes that are so notable, and obviously corporations and every other leading force. But what this pandemic taught me was that there's something else. There's a hidden force, an invisible force that we can't see, but at any moment can deter our plans, can stop the world. So that was really inspiring, how this invisible bug, this small particle of a bug began to enter cells and copy its genetic material, and then moving to other cells and getting many people sick. And that to me was a great source for my composition. It started with Skirmish, the first movement, which really it's a simple motif. Ta 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 di da di da 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 da. It's rather stoic, and it kind of depicts this sort of battle between this invisible force and us humans, where we just kind of became paralyzed by this energy coming in and spreading throughout the world. And so the second movement, I experienced a difficulty, a personal difficulty, losing my mother throughout this experience, and many people that I knew also lost dear ones. So the second movement is a rather lament for the departed brethren, for the many lives we lost, and a tribute to them in the world, right? And the third movement is sort of a synergetic and meta-modernist approach to what happens, to what's happening in our modern world. So we have this exploration as humans of logic, virtue, right, and um, courage, because I think in these moments of crisis, the human spirit was rather courageous, and I saw a tremendous desire to live. Even people that were in ventilators, even in the piece, throughout the piece, there's moments where you feel stuck. I interviewed a friend of mine who had been very, very sick, nearly died, and he explained to me the process of feeling like you can't breathe, like there's not enough oxygen. And the piece has moments where you feel stuck, where you can't breathe, where you um, and you know, to conclude my explanation, the final movement is also it sort of depicts this rush to innovate in the medical community, to come up with some kind of vaccine, some kind of treatment, something, a solution to stop this, to get us back to normal. And the microbiome at its foundation really talks about how in the beginning all we had was our microbiome. We were completely at the mercy of this virus, and we didn't have vaccines. We didn't have much treatment, so the microbiome in us really had to fight back. And for some of us, fortunately, we survived, and some of us we've lost, and hopefully we will be better off. Our humanity will be better off, and many works of art and much more innovation in science can come from this, so that we can prepare ourselves better. And that's the whole sort of inspiration for the work.
Sounds awesome. I mean, awesome in the way of, anyway, I hope we can talk more about this later, but the sort of like role and, the role that a composer sort of plays. I mean, this is our sort of duty and mission to sort of take these things. I like how you talk like this invisible force. You know, there's these movements that go throughout the world and in our lives that go back and forth, and it's kind of our role to sort of internalize it and then express it out for everybody to hear and experience, right?
Absolutely. And there's a moment in life where composers, we sometimes we write something that has nothing to do with what's current, what's happening. So you really can't limit yourself to whatever's is happening currently. But at the same time, art seems to be this sort of archival memory, where many things pass. But if you look at the Greeks, the Babylonians, if you look at the history of every civilization, art seems to be something that we can discover and to learn about that particular culture. And we're very fortunate to have digital technology now to record, to collaborate with wonderful artists in Moscow, right? I think we can make this a better situation. And I think you're doing that with this project. And that's all we can, I hope, aspire to do. How can we use this for the best, right?
Yeah, I agree. Meanwhile, let's bring on RUSQUARTET and to hear your piece, Microbiome.
Thank you.
Phenomenal work, beautiful work, great
Fabulous
performance. What a great piece.
Yeah.
Rob, do you
Yeah.
want me to talk in Russian about Leo and his piece?
Yeah. So our last performance for today, and also our shortest piece, is "Glare" by Greg Pfeiffer. Um, uh, sty- he's a stylistically diverse composer of chamber solo and electronic music. Greg Pfeiffer's works range from unapologetically tonal to unforgivingly atonal. His works have been performed at June in Buffalo Festival, the International Frequencies for New Music in Darmstadt, and by groups such as Boston Microtonal Society, Thing NY, the Curiosity Cabinet, and Contemporary Chamber Players of Stony Brook University.
That's a lot. Okay, let me see if I can get that. Композитор Грег Пфайфер является композитором камерной, сольной и электронной музыки и работает в разнообразных жанрах. Его работы представляют как традиционный тональный, также атональный подход к композиции. Его произведения исполнялись на многих фестивалях, включая Джун, фестиваль в Баффало, международный Foreign Cursive from Neue Musik в Дармштадте, а также исполнялись известными группами камерных исполнителей, такими как Бостонское микротональное сообщество, Thing New York, а также Curiosity Cabinet и современные камерные исполнители университета Стони Брукс.
And let's bring on Greg to talk a little bit about his piece.
Welcome,
Hi,
Greg.
Greg.
Great pleasure. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Hello. Yep, let me unmute. Hi. I wanted to first congratulate my fellow composers, Leo and Annette, for their wonderful pieces. I really enjoyed them. And the piece that you're going to be hearing momentarily, Glare, is it's a challenging piece. The way that I was exploring microtonality and tuning in quarter tones, but in prior pieces I had used quarter tones as sort of a way of exaggerating melodic lines and adding sort of color. Whereas in this piece, it's very challenging because it requires that the players shift from one in-tone 12 equal tempered tuning to another and back and forth and perform this in tune with themselves. It's basically like trying to land on the head of a pin over and over again. And the Russ Quartet, Xenia, Anna, Ksenia, and Peter worked very hard to bring this performance today. And I'm thrilled that it's getting played, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Thank you, Greg, for a wonderful introduction.
And let's hear Glare. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Landing on the point of a pin, I think, is a great analogy for that piece. Thank you, Greg. What a great
Greg,
work.
what a wonderful piece, and it really came alive in this performance. Amazing work, quartet.
I think what we'd like to do is bring on everybody to say hello. Hey,
Oh,
Leo.
hey, Leo,
Greg.
Greg, Annette, wonderful.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you so much. What wonderful pieces.
Bravo.
Thank you.
What fabulous work, and so different. What a spectrum.
And we should just also thank RUSQUARTET. Thank you, RUSQUARTET.
RUSQUARTET, bravo.
Thank you.
Спасибо.
Thank you. Thank you for writing those masterpieces. So we were really excited to play this. So it was tough, challenging, but I think we did it. And we're honored to play your pieces. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for performing them so beautifully.
No, thank you. You did a wonderful job.
Nailed it.
Yes. You guys really wonderful. What a great performance. What a wonderful concert. And I love the new music. It's just so refreshing. You guys have such brilliant ideas.
And let me ask a question to RUSQUARTET. So when I put together this project for Contemporary Quartets, and it was to sort of introduce new quartets to living composers and living composers back to quartets. The project has been very fortunate to work with great musicians like yourself. You play a lot of new music already. How did you feel about this project compared to new music that you usually do, or what was like the pluses and minuses, or like the advantages and disadvantages?
That's a long question. Guys, do you need me to help a little bit with the translation? That was a very long
No,
question.
that's fine.
Okay.
First of all, we were really thrilled because, as you said, of course, we played lots of contemporary music, but not extremely contemporary. Let's say that. When we agreed to participate in this project, of course, we were thrilled, kind of a little bit. We're really curious. We were wondering how it's like, and we decided to take a challenge, I'm sitting and as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking of pluses, and I think that we gained a new level, thanks to your pieces, because we of course practiced a lot, and now as we're playing, as we just performed, I think all of us can see that our level, even we improved our level. I think that's totally obvious for everyone of our quartet, and lots of million of different effects. Of course, starting with our famous glare piece that almost made us insane. So we are so enormously grateful to Greg and Pfeiffer for this piece. I think we'll be playing it maybe for encores. Well, it takes special place because of the different pitches. It was probably the most difficult for us. That's why I'm talking first of glare. Then let's take the piece of Leonardo, which was extremely difficult in terms of rhythm and polyphony, and of course, we fixed some issues, some rhythmical issues that our ensemble has. So we're grateful to Leonardo for those difficulties. The second movement, I think my colleagues would agree. It sounds so Russian. I don't know. It sounds like when it was deep, and it obviously shows this deep idea of the loss of the whole world during the corona pandemic. I think everybody would agree, and many of our relatives were suffering. And that's a fantastic movement because it reminds of Russian mellows a little bit for us, and like such composer as Borodin. And well, it was very interesting piece again in terms of alterations and again like it's very charismatic. And Annette's wonderful dedicated piece dedicated to Alexander Scarlotti. Sorry, Domenico and his father. Yeah, his father, so Alexandra. So it's wonderful, very interesting piece in terms of the idea and how Annette showed in the conveyed this harpsichord ornaments idea. So it was very interesting, very innovative. So it's a contemporary Scarlotti version, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun to imagine some guitar like rocking in the finale, which is also very challenging rhythm-wise, and we're also very grateful to Annette for rhythmical challenges for us. So I think there are only pluses. I can see even minus. Of course, we practiced a lot, and but it's just, well, it gave us a new level.
Maybe just one minus, sorry, because just one minus, that this is all live performance, not live.
Oh yeah!
Just one minus.
Right. So, yeah, I think that's fantastic tradition. Yes, challenging. Well, digital era. Hello, we're here for you. So excited to play from Russia. Thank you, guys.
I think we could give you a big applause now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Standing
you.
ovation to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, I want to ask a question to the composers, but first of all, just thank you. Yeah, it would be great. I wish I was there in person, to be honest. Even if it was just setting up the mics and all that, you know, you guys sound great, and it'd be so much better in person. But it's yeah, even groups that play a lot of new music, there is so many composers, and it's so diverse that you know, it's hard to know it all. So you want to just like try to keep that connection. And I guess with that, let me point the question back at the composers. So, you know, what do you think about, like, you know, the online format and getting you know, people to perform your pieces like online and that connection? How do you feel about that? Maybe start with you, Leo.
Well, I see it as a very interesting avenue and possibility. Obviously, aesthetically and acoustically, I would rather be in Moscow right now, listening to the wonderful RUSQUARTET, and I would enjoy every breath they take and every wonderful tone they've produced in all the pieces from my fellow composers and Annette and Greg's work as well. So I'd rather be in person. I agree with that, but this has given us a tool to stay connected, to collaborate, to produce new works, and to obviously, when the Omicron is still happening, we can keep people safe, right? Through this channel and this broadcast, hopefully nobody would be hurt, right? That's one of the advantages in the moment, right? In the moment.
And Annette?
Well, actually, thanks to Omicron, the virus, we all learned to work with this kind of international project, virtual online programs, and of course, this has a great advantage because now a composer can show his or her work worldwide. On the other hand, what Robert said, it's a pity that you cannot feel the live vibration of a live concert. But I think because there are so many composers fishing in the same pool, that this is a great opportunity for any composer. This was organized by you, very well done. But actually, a composer can organize it now, him or herself too, just to make a video and put it online. So there are lots of more possibilities to get your music into the world instead of a concert and maybe 20 people will arrive at the concert. But both things, of course, have their advantages.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And Greg, what do you think?
I agree with both of them. I mean, I love being there live. I love being in person, being around people, being able to collaborate and hear things in the room. But the other side is the advantages of being able to connect people from all over the world without having to leave or do anything. I mean, the advantages are huge. So. Anything, I mean, we're trying to, music, if anything, is, trying to communicate with people. So if we can, this is another avenue for communication. We like to have music be broadcast. We want to reach people as best as we can. I like the live thing personally, but, this may reach more people this way. And if that's, if my goal is communication, then I should be thrilled about it.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and
I
want to
agree
say
wholeheartedly.
And I want to say too, I love this performance of the RUSQUARTET, and I wish I could be in Moscow, but it happens to be 9 hours of flight away from here. And tomorrow we have a performance of Argus Quartet, the second of the two performances dedicated to the Contemporary Quartet Project, and they're going to be in New York, and I'd love to be in New York too. So what am I supposed to do? Fly? There's just not enough time to fly to both places, and I find this extraordinarily helpful to be able to really. This is a live performance. I do feel their breaths. I do feel that it is a live performance. It's not being recorded and edited many times. There is a difference in that moment. I can feel the RUSQUARTET for sure delivered that vibe of the live performance to me.
Yeah, and I think it's talking about communication and so forth, and like just reaching out. I don't see this as sort of a replacement for anything. It's going to be I think going forward, in Leo's piece when he was talking about that sort of invisible force and this that's kind of all around us, and there's these forces that are taking place, and I feel like this is just sort of launching into a new future where we have another tool in our toolbox, and this is how we'll get to know each other and make connections from around the world, and work onto making the future great for new music.
Absolutely. Do we have any? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, so we should reach out to our audience. That's part of the point too. If anybody has a question that they want for RUSQUARTET or for any of the composers, feel
yes,
free
please
to
take the opportunity.
Put it into your comments.
We're all live right now, and hoping to get a chance to communicate with a very well-known quartet from Moscow, being in Moscow Conservatory currently at the moment. Once we finish this broadcast, you will have much more challenging path to reaching out and getting your questions answered. So please hit that chat button and post your comments and questions if you have any. We are here for a few more minutes.
Actually, I have a kind of weird question. Those portraits behind you, your quartet, who are these men?
Okay. There is Georgi Konius. This is Georgi Katuar, Yavorsky, and Arensky.
All of them are composers?
Yeah, composers.
Those are all composers.
Great.
From 19th, 20th century. Some of them might be theoreticians, but yeah, half composers, half theoreticians, and the another wall is also full of them too. So you just
we cannot see them. Oh, nice to know.
And you know what? For our audiences, why don't you tell us where you guys are at and where you're performing from?
Oh, sorry, say again.
Tell us where you are.
Где в консерватории вы находитесь? Просто опишите помещение, где вы.
This is just a normal classroom in conservatory.
Well, I think it's a kind of a lecture room. It's big. It's a spatial lecture room. And since we see such lots of theoreticians, portraits of theoreticians, I think that's music theory. It might be music theory class too. So,
Yes.
but they are multi-purpose classes.
Beautiful. Great. Well, does anybody have any other comments or questions? Or everyone?
Just want to say thanks to the quartet for a wonderful performance, and I really enjoyed all the pieces. And thank you for your hard work and you guys for organizing this whole project. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. As a composer, I just want to express my warm, heartfelt appreciation for you guys playing our music. Anyway, it's just really special for composers to have musicians that are dedicated to what we write. It's it's a very personal process. So anyway, thank you so much. And thank you, Virtual Concert Halls, for helping us get this out to the world.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna.
And I want to thank our audience. Thank you very much for joining us and for watching this program. I want to remind everyone that this is the first concert of the two performances of contemporary quartet music written very recently. And this was the contemporary quartet presented to you from Moscow by RUSQUARTET, and tomorrow we are going to have the second of the two concerts, which will be performances by Argus Quartet joining us from New York. And I also would like to thank everyone on the Virtual Concert Halls team. Please give your applause to our directors, show directors, and technicians, and sound engineers, scriptwriters, and hosts, and everyone involved. The company is established and run by professional musicians with a full understanding what we as musicians and of different disciplines really want and how we want to communicate. So this was brought to you by professional musicians who are creating this channel for you to connect with us during these challenging times and going forward if you happen to not be able to travel around the world to see all the concerts which you want to see. And I want to thank again very much the composers and everyone involved in this production. Great applause. This was a lot of work, but it was so worth it because these were beautiful performances, and I see a bright future for all three quartets presented today. And I'm wishing you all the best going forward. Thank you very much. We'll be saying goodbye to everyone. So if you want to...
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, quartet.
Thanks.